You're welcome to Explore Insight. In this video, I'd like to talk about the iOS command line interface, also known as the CLI mode in Cisco Packet Tracer. If you're just joining this video for the first time, please do well to subscribe to this channel and also hit the like button if you enjoy my content. So without any further ado, let's dive in. Now, talking about the CLI mode, we have majorly two types. So first, let me discuss the first one, which is the primary command mode. Now, in the primary command mode, we have subsection, which one of it is the user exec mode. Now, in this user exec mode, it allows only a limited number of basic monitoring commands, and also its CLI prompt is identified with a greater sign symbol, which we can see in this image, either on the router or on the switch. So this greater sign symbolizes that this is the user exec mode. So let's move to the next one, which is the privileged exec mode. Now, talking about the privileged exec mode, it allows access to all commands and features. And also, it can be identified by the CLI prompt of the hash symbol, which you can see here, either on the router or on the switch. The symbol symbolize the privileged exec mode. Now, another kind of mode we have is called the configuration and sub-configuration modes. Now, in this first, we'll start with the global configuration mode, and then we'll move over to the sub-configuration mode, and I will explain that as soon as possible. Now, talking about the global configuration mode, in this place, it is used to access configuration options to the device. And how do we identify that? We are going to see the config with a hashtag that is used to identify that this is global configuration mode. Next, we'll move to the sub-configuration mode, and one of it is the line configuration mode. Now, for the line configuration mode, we basically use it to configure the console, the secure shell, which is called the SSH, the telnet, or the aux access, okay? And how do we know that? Please note here, this is the global configuration mode, whereas this side is the sub-configuration. For the sub-configuration, this side specifically talks about the line configuration mode, which we can use this to identify how it looks like. Now, the second sub I want to talk about is the interface configuration mode. And in the interface configuration mode, it is actually used to configure a switch port or router interface. Now, the next thing I want to show you is how do we differentiate the line configuration mode and the interface configuration mode. For the line configuration mode, we can see that as config line with the hyphen, whereas for the interface, we have it as config hyphen if. Okay, so this gives us a distinct difference between both sub-configuration mode. So next on my slide, I'd like to talk about is navigation between the iOS modes in Cisco Packet Tracer. So what this literally means is, how do we move from one mode to another? For instance, how do we move from the user exec mode to the privileged exec mode and probably back to the user exec mode? So this is what I'll cover right now. So let me start with the user exec mode to privilege mode. Now, how do we get to the privilege mode? Having the user exec mode as the first thing we'll see once we get in and press the enter key on the switch device. Now, all we are going to do is to use the enable command. So this moves us from the user exec mode to the privileged exec mode. So we are going to use enable. For the shortcut, you can just go straight ahead to type en, which represents enable. Now, thinking about since we are in privilege exec mode with this command, how do we then go back to the user exec mode? Now, for us to go back to the user exec mode, we are just going to use the disable command. So this is literally what I was talking about. So this represents the user exec mode. That's the CLI prompt. And once we type enable or en, it's going to bring us to the privilege exec mode. Immediately you type the disable command, it brings you back to the user exec mode. Another mode I would like to talk about is the global configuration mode. So from the privilege exec mode, how do we come to the global configuration mode? So all you need to do is to type configure terminal or the shortcut, which is COFT. So this will take you from the privilege mode to the global configuration mode. And probably you want to return back to the privilege exec mode. All you need to type once you're in the global configuration mode with this, you just need to type exit command and it will take you back to the privilege exec mode. To further explain this on the screenshot you can see here, this tells us that we are actually on the privilege exec mode. So once I type config terminal or I use the shortcut here, CONF space T, it will take me to the global configuration mode, which we can see from the CLI prompts. And if I want to return back to the privilege exec mode, I'm going to type exit command and to bring me back to the privilege exec mode. Another one I would like to talk about is how do we get to the line configuration mode? Probably we are in global configuration mode. So how do we navigate to line configuration mode? So this is how we're going to do it. First, we're going to use the line command followed with the management line type. What I mean by that is probably we want to go to console 0 or console 1 depending on the port type. So we are just going to type line console. So this is just an example. And probably we want to return back to the global configuration mode. We just go ahead to type exit command. Now let me give you a screenshot to better understand this. Now in this part, it shows us that we are in the global configuration mode. And then just typing the line console 0, it's going to bring us to the line configuration mode. And if we want to return back to the global configuration mode, we're going to type exit and this brings us back to the global configuration mode. Now, if we want to return to the privilege mode, which is actually in the previous slide, from the line configuration mode, we are going to use the end command or a combination of Ctrl+Z. Okay, take a look at what I want to properly explain here. So at this point, we are actually in the global configuration mode. Once we type the line console, it brings us to the line configuration mode. So probably we don't want to go to the global configuration mode. We want to move straight to the privilege mode. All we need to do is to type end, and this brings us to the privilege exec mode. Now, talking about the sub configuration mode, it is important to note that if we want to move directly from one sub configuration to another, type in the desired configuration mode command. For example, the command prompt below shows the movement from the line configuration to the interface configuration mode. This is an example of what I was trying to explain here. At this point, you can see that for the config line, it tells us that we are in the line configuration mode and we want to move to the interface configuration mode. All we need to do is to specify this line of code, which is the interface fast Ethernet 0 of 1. Okay, so another one I want to talk about, which is very important also, is the basic iOS command prompt. Take a look at this picture. What can it interpret to us? It quickly tells us about the structure of the basic iOS command in the sense that the prompt here shows the current mode. So at this, we can tell that this is the user exec mode with this greater sign, the symbol, which is the CLI prompt. And then for the command is the syntax needed to execute a given task. So at this point, we have show. Look at this point. We can also ping with the command. And then coming over here, we have space. You can achieve that by clicking on the space bar. And then we move over to the keyword of or argument. Now, talking about the argument, it is not predefined. It is valid or variable defined by the user. So at this point, you can see the IP address. Whereas for the keyword, for instance, we have the IP protocols. It's a specific parameters defined in the iOS. Now, I will not just leave you here without taking you through to the Cisco Packet Tracer for us to experiment more. So let's quickly move to the Cisco Packet Tracer so that I can just brush everything I've said here. Now, if you follow my last content, where I talked about how we can execute our tasks on the workspace, and I also talk about the category and the subcategory, how to get your network devices, the end devices, and others. So at this point, I want to take PC and the switch. So I will get that from the network device. So parameter, I want to take 2960 switch. So just in case you don't know what network to go for, you can just click on the automatic. So I said just here, but having an idea, since they are different devices, you can just predict what you go for. So automatically it will tell you, so this is a straight cable. So automatically it will assign everything for us. So if we want to go through those basic iOS CLI mode, so I will start by clicking on the switch. And when I click on the switch, you see something like this. So all I'm going to do is to tap in my enter key. And from my enter key, I'm going to type enable. So like I said in the PPT, is either you say enable or en. So anyone, it's okay. It's going to work. So let me just show you the shortcut, because in networking also, you have to be first in your coding. So we just put the en. So this actually shows us the user exec mode with the sign, the symbol. Okay. Now, once we type the en, it brings us to the privileged exec mode. So we have this, which symbolizes the privileged exec mode. Now, if you want to leave the privileged exec mode and come to the user exec mode, all you need to do is to type disable. And you can see we are right back at the user exec mode. So I'm just putting it back with a full right of, which is enable, and I'm back to the privileged exec mode. And moving over to the global configuration mode, I'm going to type configure terminal. So if you type this, is okay. Configure terminal, but also in my video, I always like to show you the shortcut. You can go ahead and shorten this to curve T. Remember to put the space, so space T. So we have curve T now, and definitely it will go. If we want to move from the global configuration mode to the line configuration mode, we are actually going to type in the line and then specify which port. So we have the curve 0. So if you have for 1, you just type line console 1, it's okay. So at this point, I just have 1, which is 0. So once I have this, I'll press my enter key. So you can see at this point, I'm actually at the line configuration mode. And if I want to go out from here, I'll just type exit. It brings me back to the global configuration mode. So the other mode I would like to show you is the interface configuration mode, which is a sub configuration of the global configuration mode. I just need to specify what interface of the port I will be working in. So let's say past Ethernet. So that will be capital T with a capital E so that you don't have coding error. So this is what we have here. So this brings us to the interface configuration mode. So thank you so much for watching. In my next video, I'd like to talk about the basic device configuration. And in that video, I'll talk about how you name your devices, how you put your password, how you put the banner mode CD, and how to save your configuration using the show running config and the startup config. Okay, please do well to watch my next video, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe to this channel. I appreciate all you do. So I'll be signing off now. Do have a nice time. Love you. Bye.